Good afternoon from Yummy B TV. Wishing you all well, of course, right? So Ron Ellis boxing. Okay, then I'll get the job done for you. But I'll give you. Let's start this video with a joke, right? So when fellows Lee Newell, who we're going to talk about in a minute in much more depth, and David Taylor, who's the sex offender, out the three of them, right? They turn up in the magistrate's court, the first appearance, and the judge asked them, do you understand what's going on? Fellows and Newell say, yeah, we understand. That doesn't mean that they're admitting their guilt. It just means that they understand the proceedings. David Taylor turns around and says in there, no, I don't understand. I'm totally innocent in all this. Right, let's play it back a little bit now. We don't know who actually committed the murder on Bevan, right? But all we know is all three of them are charged. With Lee Newell's history of hating sex offenders, I wouldn't believe that he'll be bringing Dave Taylor anyway. Would it have been that Dave Taylor got caught up in the mayhem? Might have been in the cell already, might have just walked in or whatever. We're never going to know. So I can't really answer that question. The one question that I will answer is Mark Fellows will definitely not be walking around or bringing anyone on a bit of work that's a sex offender. In Wakefield, you can't get away from them. But it doesn't mean that you will be hanging around with them and becoming friends with them, right? You can see Fellows and Lee Newell having little discussions and all that, right? A few things in common. But right, you asked about Lee Newell. Many of them have forgotten, right, that when he murdered Anwar, right, another sex offender in Long Lartin, right, years ago, right, he was moved to the CSU unit in Woodhill, which is a place where they house people like Charlie Bronson, where you're very much alone for most of the time. I think you can get to associate, depending what level you're on while you're there, but it's a prison within a prison, just so to speak, right? I got a friend who was visiting Woodhill at that time because a boyfriend, a man that I know, was also in that unit at that time. Lee Newell's sister was going to visit Newell, right? Down in the unit, also at that time, was Gary Vinter, another double murderer, probably going to be a serial killer now as well, but for the grace of God, really. The 2 or 3 that he's maimed were supposed to die, but somehow got to live. Vinter, you remember, nearly killed Roy Whiting, the child killer, and he, down in the unit, in Woodhill at this time, Gary Vinter and Lee Newell are arguing at the window, calling each other names and all that kind of stuff. Lee Newell's sister pointed out to the staff, I just hope my brother's all right down there around Vinter, because they got history or something like that, right? The prison staff allegedly were listening to the arguments come from, when I see you, I'm going to kill her, you wait, and all that kind of stuff and everything, right? What they did, the next morning, right, or a couple of days later, they put Vinter and Lee Newell on the exercise yard together. You can't do that in a unit, not unless you asked to go together and your friends. No, it was I believe it could have been done on purpose, or it could have been an accident. Thank you, Uncle Derek. Or it could have been an accident. Put it down, Uncle Derek. Thank you. Quick, I'm filming.
It's too
All right, thank you, Uncle Dale. Thank you. So they put them in on the yard together, exercise. Lee Newell ain't no match for Gary Vinter. Gary Vinter's got the height and the size, but also Gary Vinter is a little bit more different than all the other killers that I've been speaking about lately, in my opinion, right? Gary Vinter stabs him straight in his eye, maims him, looks to kill him. They run on the yard to stop it all and everything like that. Lee Newell loses his eye, right? His sister makes a big complaint because she believes that it could have been prevented. Lee Newell got about 80 grand or 90, maybe even a little bit more, for those injuries inflicted by Vinter. Cough, mate. I'm of the belief that the reason why Newell, not so much that Vintar gave him the injuries, many prisoners get maimed and they don't get compensation, right? It's because they let Vintar on the yard with him, and it could have been prevented. So they're bringing up that, and that's why he got the compensation. But lo and behold, he gets back up on normal location. Right about now, I don't think Gary Vintar can get on normal location. That he's housed very much alone in his own company. Can't really, because they're aware that Gary Vintar, if they ever put Gary Vintar in the Wakefield, it'll be good like Vienna for everyone. Trust me on this one here, right? But Lee Newell gets back up. So you're asking me where would they go? Fellows and Newell will have to be all alone now. They won't. Newell won't be allowed back on normal location forever or for years and years and years now, because that's too many murders. Maudsley, look at Maudsley. He committed 1, 2, 3. He's never been able to go up on normal location again. He's been down there years, but they don't put Maudsley back up. So you got Vintar. Look, when Lee Newell, another one, Damien Folks, right? I kind of like Damien Folks. When Lee Newell bumped into Damien Folks and they went for each other's throats as well, going to kill each other, Damien Folks come out on top of that. Lee Newell seems to come out on top when it's with sex offenders for some reason. And the final bit of all this is many ask sex offenders, but Vintar and Newell killed women really for relatively no reason, yeah? So is it that they believe that they're better than sex offenders when their crimes are not much better, if you get what I mean? Because you're doing vulnerable targets. But on careful inspection, right, they're not just isolating it on ladies alone. Them two specifically, right? Fellows hasn't murdered no women, right, as far as I know. But they aren't just isolating women, are they? They're taking on all targets, men, women, staff, anyone. So it'd be wrong for me to say, as much as I think their crimes are absolutely appalling, in reality, they're not really picking and choosing, right? So Lee Newell, when you lose, it looks like everybody's beginning to work out that when you ain't going to come out, right, and there's no hope, your life is in there. You're going to die in there. It's hardly, you don't want to be enhanced and thing and grovel to the staff and that kind of stuff. It's not really realistic, is it? So nothing to lose, no hope for the future. Going to die in prison, and it's more of a case now. I do as I please, when I want to, where I want to. I'll take the consequences, and it doesn't change. God, but it doesn't change my situation at all, right? But that's it. That's the best I can do on Lee Newell. But no, I don't put Lee Newell, well, as a killer, as probably a serial killer now. I mean, I don't put him as a person. I say that there's loads more killers in there that have got the edge over him, all right?